under control because you're trying to raise interest rates, and you don't want to have as much home price appreciation, but you also want to have more construction that's happening. How do you communicate? What is the answer to that? Because that's a clear conundrum if the Fed's so worried about inflation and low interest rates fuel that inflation.
This, I think we're finally getting some penetration on the idea. I feel like I've been saying it for about 2 years, which is high interest rates are actually harming the shelter inflation component I walked you through. And the reason why is that higher interest rates affect the supply side of the housing market. So as you said, you report every month to that group that includes folks from the National Economic Council. They're very focused on the demand side, mortgage and pricing and the rest. They're less focused on the supply side. Now the good news is we had Mark Zandi and Jim Parrott writing an editorial in the Washington Post a few weeks ago where they made the argument that high interest rates are hurting the fight against inflation right now, which seems completely the opposite of what you would expect. But the reason why is it's making development more expensive and therefore reducing the amount of housing supply. Now the Fed's perspective on this I think is very myopic. I mean literally. When we raised this with them the first time a year ago, they said, well, we're not so focused on shelter inflation because they can't control zoning and the skilled labor shortage. We're looking at something we call super core inflation. All right, what's super core inflation? Well, you toss out food, you toss out energy, and you toss out housing, and that's the inflation component they're talking about. Remember I talked about the normals and how they view inflation? Can you imagine as a political official getting up and saying, we're just not going to look at food, energy, and housing, and that's what we're going to focus on?